My brothers and sisters, let's talk about something real. Let's talk about what happens when a woman decides to walk away from love. This isn't about bitterness, anger, or revenge. This is about growth, healing, and realizing her worth. Because sometimes walking away isn't a loss, it's the greatest win of her life. Walking away is not weakness, it's strength. When a woman walks away, people may call her cold, unloving, or heartless. But in reality, it takes more strength to walk away from what's breaking her than it does to stay. She has cried the tears, fought the battles, and tried to make it work. But walking away is her way of saying, I choose peace over pain, purpose over confusion, and self-respect over mistreatment. That's not weakness. That's courage. She doesn't walk away overnight. It's a process. Understand this. Women don't just leave out of nowhere. A woman gives warnings. She gives her heart. She prays. She hopes. She forgives again and again. She tries to build. She tries to save. She tries to protect what she loves. But when her soul gets tired, when her spirit can't carry the weight anymore, that's when she chooses to walk. Walking away isn't sudden. It's the result of 1,000 silent disappointments. Love without respect cannot last. Love is beautiful, but love without respect is destruction. A woman can be loyal, patient, and giving, but if she's not honored, she will eventually feel invisible. Respect is the oxygen of love. When a man fails to respect her, her time, her effort, her body, her dreams, she starts to suffocate. And when she can't breathe in the relationship, she walks away so she can breathe in freedom again. Walking away creates space for healing. When she leaves, she's not just leaving a man. She's leaving behind the lies, the cycles, the pain, the empty promises. She creates space to heal. She begins to pour back into herself. She learns to love herself again, to trust her own voice, to dream without limits. Walking away doesn't mean she stopped believing in love. It means she stopped accepting a love that was beneath her worth. Walking away is a form of teaching. See, sometimes the greatest lesson a woman teaches is not in what she says, but in what she no longer allows. By walking away, she teaches her children what self-respect looks like. She teaches the world that her heart is not to be played with. And she teaches the man she left behind that actions have consequences. She doesn't have to yell, argue, or prove herself. The silence of her absence is the loudest lesson of all. Walking away opens the door to true love. The truth is, when a woman walks away, she doesn't lose love. She makes room for real love. She creates space for the man who will honor her, value her, and match her energy. She makes space for the version of herself that is whole, healed, and unshaken. Walking away is not the end of her story. It's the beginning of her breakthrough. So when a woman walks away from love, it's not because she stopped loving. It's because she finally learned to love herself more. And when a woman loves herself enough to walk away, she sets the standard for everyone who will ever try to love her again. That's not just a decision. That's freedom. That's power. That's transformation. When a woman makes the decision to walk away from love, it is one of the most misunderstood actions people will ever witness. Many will rush to label her as weak, bitter, or cold-hearted, but the truth is, that moment is the very picture of strength. Staying in a place where she is not valued, respected, or treated with care is easy because it is familiar. Walking away, on the other hand, requires her to step into the unknown. It demands courage to leave behind the comfort of what she knows, even if it is painful, in order to open the door to something greater. That kind of strength doesn't just appear overnight. It is built over time, forged through tears, silence, and unspoken prayers. People forget that love itself can be heavy when it's not nurtured. A woman can carry years of broken promises, unmet needs, and lonely nights even while lying next to someone. She can smile on the outside but feel like she is slowly disappearing on the inside. When she finally chooses to put her foot down and walk away, it isn't an act of giving up. It's an act of survival. It's her way of saying, I cannot keep setting myself on fire just to keep someone else warm. That is strength in its purest form, the refusal to keep betraying herself in the name of love. The world teaches women that sacrifice is noble, that staying no matter what proves devotion. But true devotion is not about enduring abuse, neglect, or indifference. True devotion begins with being loyal to yourself. Walking away is a declaration that she will no longer confuse endurance with love. It is choosing to protect her peace, her sanity, and her spirit. That choice may hurt in the beginning, but pain with a purpose is better than pain without one. She understands that staying may keep her from being alone, but it will also keep her from being alive. Strength is not just in holding on. It's in knowing when to let go. A woman who walks away has realized that her worth is not measured by how much she can tolerate, but by how much she refuses to accept. That strength is quiet but powerful. It doesn't shout, it doesn't seek validation, it doesn't beg to be understood. It simply chooses peace, and in choosing peace, she chooses life. The truth is, it is much easier to stay and pretend everything is fine, to keep showing up to a relationship that looks whole on the outside but is broken on the inside. The harder choice, the braver choice, is to stand up, to pack her dignity, and to step into a future she cannot fully see but fully believes in. That is not weakness, that is strength clothed in self, love, and it is the kind of strength that transforms her story forever. When a woman decides to leave a relationship, it is rarely an impulsive or sudden act. It is almost never the result of one argument or one disappointment. Instead, it is the final chapter of a long story, a story that has been written with countless sacrifices, repeated forgiveness, and quiet hopes that things would change. Before she walks away, she tries everything in her power to hold on. She communicates her pain, sometimes with words, other times with silence. She gives subtle warnings not because she wants to leave, but because she desperately wants to stay. She drops hints, she asks for effort, she expresses her needs, but too often those signs go unnoticed. And slowly, piece by piece, her heart begins to detach. A woman's heart is not quick to abandon what it loves. She has a natural tendency to nurture, to heal, to believe that love can overcome obstacles. She may stay after broken promises, she may forgive even when her trust has been shattered, and she may choose to hope when logic tells her there is no reason left. Each time she forgives, she believes it might be the turning point. Each time she gives another chance, she thinks maybe this time will be different. But as the cycle repeats itself, she begins to learn a painful truth, that love cannot survive on her effort alone. By the time she finally walks away, she has already left emotionally many times. She has rehearsed the goodbye in her mind long before her feet ever take the steps. She has felt the pain of being unheard, unseen, and unappreciated until she realizes that staying is not preserving love. It's destroying her spirit. People on the outside may think she just gave up one day, but inside, she knows it was years in the making. Walking away is not the first choice. It is the last resort, the only option left after every other attempt has failed. It's important to understand that when a woman walks away, she doesn't do it lightly, she weighs the cost. She thinks about the history, the memories, the good moments that once made her smile. She questions herself over and over again, wondering if she has done enough, if she is being too harsh, if she could have stayed a little longer. But eventually, the voice inside her heart grows louder than the noise of her doubts. That voice whispers the truth, that she deserves better, that her peace is priceless, that her soul was not created to live in constant disappointment. Her decision to leave is the result of 1,000 small cuts, not one deep wound. Every ignored plea, every dismissed feeling, every unmet promise, all of it adds up until her love runs dry. And when her spirit finally grows tired, when she can no longer carry the weight of the relationship alone, she chooses herself. That moment of walking away is not a sudden explosion, but the quiet ending of a storm she has battled for far too long. Love can be a beautiful feeling, but when it is not accompanied by respect, it eventually becomes empty. A woman may enter a relationship with her whole heart, giving everything she has, her time, her energy, her loyalty, her patience. She will do her best to build, to support, to encourage, and to nurture. But no matter how much love she pours in, if respect is absent, she will begin to feel invisible. Respect is not just about kind words, it is about consistent actions that prove she is valued. It is listening when she speaks, honoring her boundaries, acknowledging her sacrifices, and treating her dreams as important as her own. Without those things, love becomes one-sided, and love without balance is unsustainable. A woman can forgive mistakes and accept imperfections because she understands no one is perfect. But what she cannot live without is respect. Respect is the foundation that allows love to grow. Without it, love begins to suffocate. She may try to convince herself that love is enough, that her patience will eventually be rewarded, that her sacrifices will one day be recognized. Yet over time, the lack of respect chips away at her self-worth. She realizes she is showing up fully while being treated as an option. She realizes her efforts are being taken for granted, her voice is being ignored, and her presence is being overlooked. That slow erosion of dignity hurts far deeper than words could ever describe. What many people fail to see is that disrespect does not always appear in loud arguments or cruel insults. Sometimes it shows up in the small, subtle ways. a dismissive attitude, broken promises, neglect, or indifference. Each of these moments tells her, "You don't matter as much as you should." And though she may stay for a time, believing things will change, there comes a point when she cannot deny the truth anymore. She understands that love without respect is not really love. It is control, dependency, or convenience. Real love cannot thrive in an environment where one partner consistently feels diminished. When she chooses to walk away, it is because she knows she deserves more than love that suffocates. She deserves a love that honors her voice, respects her boundaries, and values her presence. She deserves a partner who understands that respect is not optional. It is the oxygen that keeps the relationship alive. And so, by leaving, she refuses to accept the bare minimum. She sends a message to herself and to the world that her worth cannot be negotiated. Walking away from a relationship that lacks respect is one of the hardest decisions a woman will ever make, but it is also one of the most liberating, because once she chooses respect for herself, she begins to breathe again. She starts to heal, to rebuild, and to remind herself that her heart was never created to be mistreated. Love may draw her in, but respect is what keeps her there. Without it, she has no choice but to walk away, because her soul knows that love without respect cannot last. When a woman finally walks away from a love that no longer serves her, she is not only leaving behind a person, but also the weight of everything that came with that relationship. She leaves behind the constant cycle of disappointment, the repeated promises that were never fulfilled, the lies that wore her down, and the endless tug-of-war between what she gave and what she received in return. At first, it may feel like emptiness. She may feel as though she has lost something precious, but in reality, what she has done is created space for her soul to breathe again, space for her heart to heal, and space for her to rediscover the parts of herself that had been buried beneath the pain. Healing does not happen instantly. In the beginning, she may struggle with the silence, with the absence of the familiar voice she once clung to, or with the empty bed that used to carry the weight of two. But soon she starts to notice that the silence brings peace. She starts to realize that being alone is far better than being lonely in the presence of someone who never truly saw her. That space she created by walking away becomes fertile ground where she can plant new seeds of self, love, confidence, and clarity. She learns to water her own soul with the same care and attention she once gave to someone else. As she heals, she begins to see how much of herself she had lost in trying to keep the relationship alive. She remembers the passions she set aside, the dreams she put on hold, and the joy she suppressed just to maintain a connection that was never balanced. Walking away allows her to reclaim those things. She starts saying yes to herself again. She may pick up hobbies she abandoned, she may reconnect with people who uplift her, and she may finally look in the mirror and recognize the strong, beautiful woman staring back at her. The healing process also teaches her that love should not require her to sacrifice her peace. She understands now that peace is priceless, and no relationship is worth losing it. Each day of distance brings clarity, and with clarity comes strength. She starts to realize that leaving was not about giving up on love. It was about refusing to accept a version of love that diminished her. And in that realization, she discovers freedom. Eventually, the pain of leaving transforms into gratitude. Gratitude for the lessons she learned, gratitude for the courage to walk away, and gratitude for the opportunity to rebuild her life on a foundation of respect and self-worth. By creating space for healing, she doesn't just move on. She evolves. She becomes stronger, wiser, and more attuned to what she truly deserves. Walking away did not close her off to love. It opened her up to the possibility of a love that matches the love she is willing to give, including the love she now gives herself. Sometimes the most powerful lessons in life are not taught with words but through actions. When a woman chooses to walk away from a love that has failed her, she is not only making a personal decision, she is teaching a lesson. She may never stand on a stage or write a speech, but the act of removing herself from what no longer honors her becomes a statement louder than anything she could have said. It is a way of declaring, "I will no longer accept less than I deserve," and in doing so, she becomes a teacher without even trying. Her children, if she has them, see the strength it takes to leave. They may not fully understand in the moment, but over time they will remember the courage of a mother who chose dignity over dysfunction. She shows them that love should not come at the cost of self-respect, and she plants in them the seed that relationships must be built on honor and care, not on endurance and silence. That lesson will follow them for the rest of their lives, shaping how they view love and how they allow others to treat them. The man she walks away from also learns a lesson, though it may come with a sting. While she was present, he may have taken her for granted, assuming her patience was endless. He may not have listened to her words, but her absence speaks a truth he cannot ignore. He is forced to recognize that actions have consequences, that love cannot survive neglect, and that respect cannot be optional. Whether he admits it or not, her leaving holds up a mirror to his behavior, and it teaches him something he may never have learned if she had stayed. The world around her learns as well. Friends, family, and even strangers who hear her story see an example of self-worth in action. Too often, people talk about boundaries, self-love, and respect, but when a woman actually walks away, she demonstrates what those principles look like lived out. She shows that love does not mean tolerating pain, and that faithfulness to yourself is just as important as faithfulness to someone else. Her choice becomes a silent encouragement to others who may be trapped in similar cycles, but are too afraid to leave. The beauty of this lesson is that she doesn't have to explain herself. She doesn't need to justify, argue, or prove her decision. Her very absence becomes the testimony. People may question it at first, but with time, her peace, her glow, and her healing become undeniable evidence of why she had to walk away. And though it may not have been her intention to teach, she ends up influencing more lives than she realizes. By walking away, she teaches everyone, including herself, that love is not real if it requires you to abandon your dignity. She teaches that boundaries are not walls to keep people out, but standards that protect the heart. And most of all, she teaches that silence and distance can speak louder than words when they are backed by self-respect. When a woman decides to walk away from love that has drained her, she is not closing the door to love forever. She is opening the door to a greater kind of love. At first, it may not look that way. In the beginning, walking away feels like loss. She grieves what she thought she had, what she hoped it could become, and what she imagined for the future. There is pain, there are lonely nights, and there are moments of questioning. But in that emptiness, something powerful is happening. She is making room. She is clearing out the space that was once filled with disappointment, neglect, and broken promises, so that it can one day be filled with something real. By stepping away from a relationship that was beneath her worth, she affirms to herself that she is deserving of more. That shift in mindset is the very thing that makes true love possible. A woman who continues to settle cannot receive better because her life is already occupied by less. But the moment she chooses to let go, she creates an opening for someone who is ready to meet her at her level. She is no longer weighed down by trying to fix someone who does not want to change or begging for love from someone unwilling to give it. She becomes free to be herself, free to grow, and free to recognize the kind of love that aligns with her spirit. As she heals, she begins to understand love differently. She no longer confuses intensity with intimacy or attention with affection. She realizes that real love is steady, consistent, and grounded in respect. She learns that she does not have to chase or prove herself to be worthy. Instead, she remembers that the right love will meet her where she is and honor her as she is. This revelation prepares her heart for the kind of relationship that uplifts instead of drains, that builds instead of breaks, and that brings peace instead of confusion. Walking away also allows her to fall in love with herself again, and this self, love, is the foundation for everything else. She learns to enjoy her own company, to celebrate her own wins, and to validate her own worth. She no longer needs another person to fill the void inside of her, because she has filled it herself with confidence and clarity. Ironically, it is this wholeness that attracts the kind of love she always deserved, the kind that doesn't complete her but complements her. Eventually, when true love enters her life, she will recognize it. She will see the difference between a man who takes her for granted and a man who treasures her presence. She will feel the difference between being tolerated and being celebrated. She will know the difference between words that sound good and actions that prove it. Because she walked away before, she now has the wisdom to never settle again. In the end, walking away was not the ending of her love story. It was the beginning of her breakthrough. By letting go of what was hurting her, she made space for the love that was meant for her. And that is the beauty of her decision. She didn't lose love, she redefined it. She didn't close her heart, she raised her standard. And when real love finally arrives, it won't just enter her life. It will fit because she created the room for it when she walked away. When a woman walks away from love, it is never a small decision, and it is never without meaning. Every step she takes away from what hurt her is a step closer to what will heal her. Through her journey, we learn that walking away is not weakness, it is strength. We see that it is not sudden, it is the result of countless sacrifices that went unnoticed. We understand that love without respect can never survive, and that leaving creates the space she needs to heal, to grow, and to rediscover herself. Her choice to leave is also a form of teaching, showing her children, her community, and even the one she left behind what self-worth truly looks like. And most importantly, we recognize that walking away does not close the door on love, but instead opens the path to a love that is deeper, healthier, and aligned with her soul. The story of a woman walking away is not a story of loss, it is a story of transformation. It is about reclaiming her dignity, protecting her peace, and choosing herself after being overlooked for far too long. It is a reminder to everyone, not just women, that love should never cost you your respect, your identity, or your peace of mind. Love is not real if it requires you to betray yourself, so when a woman walks away, honor her choice. Respect her courage, understand that she is not walking away from love, she is walking toward a higher kind of love. One that starts within her, one that reflects her worth, and one that will only attract what she truly deserves. That decision is not the end of her story, it is the beginning of a stronger, wiser, more powerful chapter. And that is the beauty of her walk. It's not just a goodbye, it's a rebirth.